It's 53 BC. The Parthian army crushes the Roman army in Battle of Carrhae and kills its commander Crassus, bringing the first triumvirate to an end. The other two members, Caesar and Pompey, entered in a civil war, resulting in a victory for Caesar, who gained total control of Rome as a dictator. Julius wanted to secure the Macedonian border from the Dacian king, Burebista's threats of invasion. He also wanted to take revenge on the Parthians who destroyed the Romans at Carrhae. There is evidence that Caesar had begun practical preparation for the campaign sometime before late 45 BC. By 44 BC, Caesar had begun a mass mobilization. 16 legions of 60,000 men and 10,000 cavalry were being gathered for the invasion, supported by auxiliary cavalry and light-armed infantry. 6 of the legions had already been sent to Macedonia to train, along with a large sum of gold for the expedition. Octavius was sent to Apollonia within modern Albania, ostensibly as a student, to remain in contact with the army. As Caesar planned to be away for some time, he reordered the Senate and ensured that all magistrates, consuls, and tribunes would be appointed by him during his absence. Caesar intended to leave Rome to start the campaign on 18 March. However, 3 days prior to his departure, he was assassinated. The expedition was planned to take 3 years. It was to begin with a punitive attack on Dacia under King Burebista, who had been threatening Macedonia's northern border. It has been suggested by Christopher Pelmelling that Dacia, not Parthia, was going to be the expedition's main target. After Dacia, the army was then to invade Parthia from Armenia. The ancient sources diverge. Suetonius states that Caesar wished to proceed cautiously and would not fully engage the Parthian army unless he had determined their full strength. Although he implies that Caesar's goal was an expansion of the empire, not just its stabilization, Plutarch describes a bolder campaign by writing that once Parthia had been subdued, the army would move through the Caucasus, attack Scythia, and return to Italy after it had conquered Germania. Plutarch also states that the construction of a canal through the Isthmus of Corinth, for which Annianus had been placed in charge, was to occur during the campaign. Plutarch's Parallel Lives was written with the intention of finding correlations between the lives of famous Romans and Greeks. For example, Caesar was paired with Alexander the Great. Bussett's reading of Parallel Lives also interprets Plutarch as trying to use Caesar's future plans as a case study in the era of unbridled ambition. Some academics have theorized that Caesar's pairing with Alexander and Trajan's invasion of Parthia, which was around the time of Plutarch's writing, led to exaggerations in the presented invasion plan. The deployment of the army to Macedonia near the Dacian frontier and the lack of military preparation in Syria have also been used to lend support for that hypothesis. Militz acknowledges that the Scythia and Germania plans appear to be unrealistic, but believes that they were credible with the geographic knowledge of the time. The public excuse for the expedition was that less than 10 years earlier, in 53 BC, an invasion of the Parthian Empire had been attempted by Roman consul Marcus Licinius Crassus and ended in failure, and his death at the Battle of Carrhae. To many Romans, that required revenge. Also, Parthia had taken Pompey's side in the recent civil war against Caesar. As the Roman Republic in 45 BC was still politically divided after the Civil War, Marcus Cicero tried to lobby Caesar to postpone the Parthian invasion and to solve domestic problems instead. Following a similar line of thought in June that year, Caesar temporarily wavered in his intention to leave with the expedition. However, Caesar finally decided to leave Rome and to join the army in Macedonia. A number of motivations have been proposed to explain his decision to continue his military career after a victorious campaign. He would have, as Plutarch wrote, completed this circuit of his empire, which would then be bounded on all sides by the ocean and returned home with his lifelong dictatorship secured. It has also been proposed that Caesar knew of the threats against him and felt that leaving Rome and being in the company of a loyal army would be safer, both personally and politically. Caesar may have also wished to heal the rift from the civil war or to distract from it by reminding the populace of Rome of the threat of a neighboring empire. In order to support a royal title for Caesar, a rumor was spread before the planned invasion. It alleged that it had been prophesied that only a Roman king could defeat Parthia. as Caesar's greatest internal opposition came from those that believed he wanted royal power, that strengthened the conspiracy against him. It has also been proposed that Caesar's opposition would be fearful of him returning victorious from his campaign, since he would be more popular than ever. The assassination occurred on 15 March 44 BC, on the day that the Senate was to debate granting Caesar the title of king for the war with Parthia. However, some of the aspects of Caesar's planned kingship may have been invented after the assassination to justify the act. The relationship between the planned Parthian war and his death, if any, is unknown. After Caesar's death, Mark Antony successfully vied for control of the legions from the planned invasion, which were still stationed in Macedonia, and he temporarily took control of that province to do so. From 40 to 33 BC, Rome, and particularly Antony, would wage an unsuccessful war against Parthia. He used Caesar's proposed invasion plan of attacking through Armenia, where it was felt that the support of the local king could be relied on. In Dacia, Burebista died the same year as Caesar, which led to the dissolution of his kingdom.